All right.
So how are you going to Suda this year? Are you going to start right before Shabbos?
Oh, that's a good question. So we're going to my parents for Shabbos, Mitzvah Hashem. And so yeah, the suit is a little bit unclear because my father does a suit earlier, which is probably the proper thing to do. I mean, I know there's
like a brunch type of thing.
Yeah. So I know people talk about it in the halacha, but if my father's doing it, I know that it's the more appropriate thing to do halachically for sure. But yeah, there's not enough time to go there for the Suda, then come back, then go again for Shabbos. So we'll have to figure it out. In any event, tonight's special edition Megilat Esther class on Perek Hay, 5th chapter of the Megillah, is brought to you in memory of Joanne Tepler. And we just got finished. I mean, this is like super, super exciting. So last time on Travels with Esther, Mordechai tells Esther, we're all going to die. And he does this by unearthing the conspiracy. And the way that he unearths the conspiracy is by pieces. It's pieces. He puts it together in the press. It's unbelievable. It's beautiful. It's like those, you're watching, Face Billions and Bobby Axelrod. He's like, well, there was a tsunami. I read in the news that there was a tsunami, but I know if there's a tsunami that it's going to affect my stocks in Asia tomorrow because the salmon fisheries are going to get hit by this. Like, he knows how one thing is attached to the other thing and no one else caught it, because the biggest investment geniuses in the world, they might know finance, but they never thought to put together tsunami with salmon fisheries or whatever the case may be. So Mordechai looks at the economics of the thing and he goes, 1 second, Asar Salafim Kesef, Kikar Kesef, Lishgal Yadeo Se Hamalacha. It's being given specifically, and the Megillah points this out twice. It points it out. It's one of those like seemingly innocuous details in the Megillah, which is anything but benign. It says that when Haman tried to persuade Achashverosh to give him Jews, he said he would give Aseres Alafim Kikar Kesef, 10,000 taels of silver. Eshkol al yedei osei hamalacha. Eshkol al yedei osei hamalacha. I will pay it out to you al yedei, on the hands of osei hamalacha, the ones who do the work. What does that mean? If you're buying off with a bounty, you say, here's 10,000 taels of silver. Why is it so important that you say al yedei osei hamalacha? What he's saying is it's going to come in through the labor unions. He's saying I'm going to inject massive dollars into the economy, so it's going to underwrite the Jews and be in place of the Jews' tax revenue. Listen, Bill de Blasio hates Michael Bloomberg, but he needs him. Like if Bloomberg moves to Connecticut, then de Blasio is going to feel the pinch. So that's basically the idea. So Haman says, Al Yidei Osei Hamalacha specifically. And then again, when Mordechai says to Hasach what's going on, it says once again, Ves Parashas HaKesef Aser Omar Haman Lishkol Al Ginzei HaMelech Ba'Yehudim. So he looks first through the money and he follows the money. And then he looks at the open letter, so to speak, and he says, listen, honey, put 2 and 2 together. This is where we're going. We're all going to die. It's going to be the purge on July 4th, and you got to be ready for it. And Esther says, well, listen, if you want me to go to the king, it's a terrible idea. You're crazy. Everybody knows that if you walk past Pennsylvania Avenue, you're going to get shot in the head. So I can't do that. But if this has to be me, because Mordechai, you're saying that again, echoing through history is me standing in place of my ancestor Shaul, and I have to be mitake, and that I have to fix that, and therefore this has to come through me. Fine, I'll do it. Everybody has to fast for me for 3 days. And we mentioned that the secret that was kept by the Jewish community for 72 hours was just staggering, right? The fact that all the Jews knew the most privileged piece of information on the planet Earth in the entire Achaemenid Persian Empire. The most privileged piece of information was Esther's origin, because this has massive ramifications to whichever area she comes from. And it's a political issue also. So, okay. And ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, chapter 5, Perek Hey Vayehi Bayom HaShlishi. And it was on the 3rd day. This is the 2nd day of Pesach. The Jews did not eat matzah. I would have to imagine that's the only time in history where Jews did not eat matzah. They fasted, and on the 3rd day, Vatilbash Esther Malchus, and Esther wore royalty. She wore royalty. I'm sorry, I can't read the whole sentence. We have to read the sentence in pieces, because each piece of this sentence is its own thing. Vatilbash Esther Malchus. The Gemara says, Vatilbash Esther Malchus. Esther wore Esther wore monarchy. You mean Esther wore bigdei malchut? She wore clothing of monarchy. Where it's like, no, not the point. Esther wore monarchy. Esther, when she walked in, man, it wasn't just very cute chick in a dress in a big, poofy Cinderella gown. This was the most regal woman you could possibly imagine. Batil Bash Esther Malchut.
Was this the first space on She's Queen?
No, she's been queen for years at this point. Yeah,
well,
she's been queen for years.
About matzah, was she eating matzah in prior space?
Presumably, yes.
But no one.
Yeah, no one thinks so. Everybody likes a cracker every now and again. Taking the host. So Esther wears Malchut. She wears monarchy. Number one. Number two. The Gemara says what this means. The Gemara says that it means she put on Ruach HaKodesh. And the Gemara says something here that's unbelievable. The Gemara records Esther's prayer from the Tehillim, and it's a very, very moving prayer. It's Lam Natseach, Mizmor Ayelas HaShachar, Mizmor LeDavid, I think it is. It's about the Ayelas HaShachar, and the Gemara says Ayelas HaShachar refers to Esther, and she says, Keli, Lama Azavtani. Hashem, my God, why have you left me? Which the Medrash tells us, the Gemara explains that as she was walking into the throne room of Ahasuerus, God left her. Now you can imagine, this is after fasting for 3 days with all the Jews. This is our shot. And she feels Hashem with her, and she walks in, and she gets to the precipice, and God's gone. She says, Keli, lama azavtani. Why have you left me? And the Gemara says the reason was because when she was davening to Hashem, she said, save me from this dog. That's how she sees Achashverosh. Instead, says the Gemara, no, says, 1 second. You're calling him a dog? He's the king of the world. That's the king of kings, the emperor of the Achaemenid Persian Empire. You're calling him a dog? You think you can do what needs to be done if you see him as a dog? And the next pasuk is, she says, save me from the lion. She sees him now as a lion. And immediately, Vatel Basha Esther Malchus, the Ruach, once again, the heavenly spirit comes back to her when she sees him not as a dog, but as a lion. Now, why? Why is that important? The guy is a dog, right? She wasn't wrong when she thought of him as a dog. That's very, very true. But you're getting way too harped up on how the details are unfurling in front of you. That's not the point. The point is Hashem is about to save the Jewish people through the most powerful human on the planet Earth. He's a lion. So you say, yeah, but he's a despicable person. That's an avatar. That's a meat bag. It's a big lump of chopped meat sitting on a golden chair. That's not the point, what he is individually. The point is what's happening here. The point is, what are you doing? What are you getting done right now? You're going to the king of the world in order to save the Jewish people from their bitter enemy. That's what you're doing. You don't see him as him, Achashverosh, the individual. See him as the part that he's playing in this narrative.
Yeah, but is that a big of a transgression for Hashem to leave her?
It's not a transgression. So Ario's asking, why is that such a big sin that God would leave her in such a pivotal moment? And the answer is, it's not a punishment that God leaves her in the moment. It means that she moved to the wrong direction. Esther, instead of getting her work done, her job done the way it had to go, she went in a way that it couldn't work. Why? Because there's no way she'll be able to do what she needs to do and affect him the way she needs to affect him if she sees him as a dog. But if she sees him as a king, then he will mirror what she is seeing in him, and that will turn him on in all sorts of ways. And that's exactly what happens. So he looks. So we'll see. She puts on Malchus, and she stands in the courtyard of the house of the inside of the inner house of the king, opposite the house of the king. What do you mean in the house of the king, opposite the house of the king? What does that mean? It means you're dealing with layer upon layer upon layer of security. But it just so happens, Bob explains, this is awesome, that there's, even though there are sanctums within sanctums within sanctums, but there's one specific place that he can be sitting, which will give him a perfect view out the door into the chutzner. And wouldn't you know it, as Esther walks to that opening, the Hamelech Yoshev al Kisei Malchuso beveis Hamalchus nochach Pesach Habayis, and it just so happens that the king is sitting on his chair, exactly pointing to the opening of the room where Esther was standing at that moment. So the Malbim points out the reason that the pasuk tells you, and this is where she's standing, and this is where he's standing, is because all of these little tiny things had to line up perfectly. Didn't have to; it could have been done otherwise as well. But the fact that it worked that way gave her the koach that she needed to see that everything was coming together. And it was when the king sees Esther the queen. Up until now, she's been Istivrei Esther. But here, it's the king sees Esther the queen, Omedes bechaser, standing in the courtyard. Nasa chen beinav. She blew his mind. She found favor in his eyes. He fell in love with her all over again. And the king stretches out his golden scepter that he was holding. Vatikrav Esther, and Esther came close. Vatiga berosh hasharvit, and she touches the head of the scepter. This is awesome because she played everybody like a fiddle. It's awesome. Do you understand what is the scepter? It told us in the last parsha, last paragraph, that there was a standing order. Anyone who walks into this courtyard is immediately slaughtered. Now there's this, it's not a magic scepter, but there's an esteemed, glorious, symbolically important to the nation scepter that if he goes like this, that has extended you a pardon. This is a very important artifact, a national artifact. It has the power of life and death. He points it at Esther, and what does she do? She skips up to the front and pokes the end of it. I mean, you understand there's only one type of person who would do that. There's only one type of person who would do that, and that is a child. That's what a child would do. That's exactly what a child would do. That's what someone very innocent would do. Someone who's whatsoever politically informed or inclined would not dare to do something like that. It's blasphemous. But if you're totally innocent, there's nothing cuter in the world than the guy that hops up on Winston Churchill's lap and pokes the crown jewels. I don't know why Winston Churchill was wearing the crown jewels, but you get the point. So that's what she does. Vayomer la hamel. And yes, obviously there are all sorts of double meanings in terms of golden scepters, and I don't think we need to expound. Vayomer la hamelech. And the king says to her, Malach Esther Hamalka. What do you want? Malach. Malach Esther Hamalka. Malach, what do you want? What is for you? Malach, what's on your mind? Meaning a grand total of how many times has Esther come to visit him in his special sanctum? A grand total of how many times? None, zero, right? 0 times. Pardon me, it's very impolite for me to chew in your. Right, 0 times. 0 times. You've never done this. Malach, what's going on? And what is your request? Tell half the kingdom and I'll give it to you. Man, this is so important. First of all, Malach means what do you want? And what's your request? Isn't it the same thing? Malach, what do you want? What's your request? Until half the kingdom. Is that hyperbolic? What's half the kingdom? So Gemara says, Ar Chatzi Hamalchus means you can ask me for anything you want, I'll give it to you, but not something that is Chotze et Hamalchut, not something that cuts the monarchy. And what's he referring to? The temple in Jerusalem, meaning politics. What is he saying? The king says, you can have anything you want, but I'm not calling Bibi Netanyahu this week. You can have anything you want, but I'm not voting with Israel in the United Nations, and I'm not moving the embassy to Jerusalem, and I'm not going to do, oh, you're going to tell me an F-35 deal? I know the F-35 deal is only there because it's helping them in Jerusalem. Now,
I thought this, I just got it was just the opposite, that I will give you up physically or
it's that also, up to half the kingdom. Yeah, half the kingdom. It's beyond that. The Gemara says, right, davar shechatza is something that cuts. Now, so this is the old, the Jew and the elephant problem, right? That there's always the Jew in the room and everything is always the Jew and the Jew. This is how everybody, this is how Jews see the world. And the truth is, yeah.
So that's what she recalled.
Yes, that's absolutely right.
That's what she recalled.
What do you mean?
Because what she's asking is political. I mean, she knows it's political.
Yeah, but she's going to say it's not. So see what she says. So he goes, Malach, what do you want? What's your request? There's a difference. Malach is what's bothering you. What do you really want? What do you want and what do you really want? You understand the difference? What are you saying you want and what do you want? So, Vayivatomer Esther, Imal HaMelech Tov. Esther says, well, if this is good for the king, if this pleases you, Yavo HaMelech v'Haman Hayom Ela Mishteh Asher Asisi Lo. The king and Haman should come to the party that I made for him today. I made for him? Don't you mean that I made for them? The king and Haman should come to the party that I made for him? The answer is yes. The king and Haman should come to the party that I made for the king. I made the party for you, your majesty, and I would like for you to be there, and I would like for Haman to be there. Now, why would Esther want Haman to be at the party? Well, because he's the second most powerful guy in the world, and if you're going to make a really important party for Robert Kraft, you probably want to have Tom Brady there, even though he's not on the team anymore, but like it's not going to be important if he's not there. If Kraft has to have a party with Belichick, he's going to be very disappointed. He doesn't want to talk to the grumpy old man. He wants to talk to Tommy Touchdown. So let them come to this party that I've made. Vayomer HaMelech, and the king says, Maharu es Haman, hurry, Haman, I love this is great, rush him, Maharu es Haman, quick, La'asos Dvar Esther, to do what Esther says. Vayavo HaMelech v'Haman ela Mishteh Asher Asasa Esther, and the king and Haman come to the party that Esther had made. Now, yeah, that was quick. Here's the thing. What is Esther doing? What's she doing? I tell you, it's very obvious what she's doing. Esther, again, remember, she's a genius. She's a genius. What happened to the last queen? What happened to the last queen? She lost her head. Who gave the order? Whose idea was it to kill the last queen? Haman. It was Haman's idea to kill the last queen. Do you think Esther finds it intelligent to challenge Haman? It's a very bad idea to challenge Haman to the king. The king killed the last queen on the word of Haman. Right. So Esther's so smart. Here's the thing, for those of us who have been who have merited to be married to our Ashes Chayil for many decades at Halavai, God willing, many scores of decades more, we know that if your wife comes over to you and she says Chaim Yankel, that your best friend since you're 10 years old, Ruvain, you got to stop hanging out with Ruvain. I don't like Ruvain. He's a bad influence on you. Whenever you come back, you smell like cigars. You never put gas in the car. You're always getting drunk. You're stumbling when you walk in the house. You wake up the kids. I don't want you seeing Ruvain anymore. If you say that to Chaim Yankel, woman, do not tell me who my friends are. I have known Ruvain since before I knew you. Maybe he didn't say that, but that's what he wanted to say. That's what he wanted to say. Because no dude likes his wife I'm not going to ask any of you guys for support. I don't need your support. I know it's the truth. No dude wants his wife telling him who he can and cannot hang out with. He doesn't want that. It's a bad idea. Here's the thing though. If you are the wife and you want your husband to hate his best friend, it's the easiest thing in the world. Reuven made a pass at me. Reuven made it. What? He did what? Oh. All of a sudden, my best friend, maybe he's not so much my best friend. Maybe my best friend is looking a little too intently at my wife. Now let's hear what Esther does, because it's so subtle, man. Remember, she's dealing with Haman. Haman's a genius. Listen to what she does. I want you to imagine, again, same group, right? It's Chaim Yankel. Chaim Yankel goes over to his wife, Estrella. Thinking Yana he goes over to his wife, Estrella, and he says, Estrella, for our 20th anniversary, we're going to Paris. It's going to be amazing. We're going first class all the way, baby. We're taking American Airlines, we're going first class. We're staying at the Ritz. Macron is going to actually give us a tour of the Louvre. It's going to be unbelievable. We're going to have a descendant of Leonardo when we say it's all taken care of. Are you excited, honey? She goes, oh my gosh, am I excited? This is the greatest thing in the world. She goes, yeah, it's gonna be amazing. Just you and me and your best friend, Cindy. What? Just what? What? You want to see how fast the frying pan's gonna hit you in the face? Me and my best friend. What? What did Esther just say to Achashverosh? I made a party. And just you and me. And Haman. Just you and me and Haman. We have a party. Right, just you and me and Haman. Let's see what's going on in the mind of Achashverosh. So, and the king and Haman show up to the party that Esther had made. And the king says to Esther in the party of wine, meaning they're a little bit intoxicated, what's your question? And you can have it. And what's your request? Until half the kingdom, and it'll be done. Again, that's that same refrain with the half the kingdom. But once again, you have she'ela seich and bakasha seich, your question and your request. And this happens along many different layers in the Rishonim and in the Gemara. One idea is that one is a chayfetz, meaning a she'ela, to ask for something is to ask for an item, a particular item. A bakasha is you want something done. Another possibility is she'ela is borrowed, whereas bakasha is not borrowed. Another possibility, again, I think they're all true, by the way. That's why he's saying it like this, because it covers all bases. Another idea, which I think is perhaps a tad deeper or more essential than those, is a she'ela. A she'ela is what you're asking for. A bakasha is why you want it. So, for example, if Esther were to say to Achashverosh, "I want the Fabergé egg that's in the teakwood room," Achashverosh say, "Okay, you can have the Fabergé egg. Now tell me why you want it. That all of a sudden you came to me we've been married for 5 years. You never come out to my treehouse. Okay, I always invite you to the treehouse for movie night. I make your favorite popcorn. You never show. Not in 5 years, not once did you show. All of a sudden you show up and you want the egg. Please, remember, he's a husband at the end of the day. So, masha seich, ma bakasha seich. Now you understand that question makes Esther out to be sneaky, because that question presupposes that she's asking for one thing, but she really wants another thing. That's what that's implying. Batan Esther vatomar. So Esther replies and says, "She'elasi ubakashasi," my question and my request. If I have found favor in the eyes of the king, and if the king thinks this is a good idea, to give me that which I'm asking for, and to do that which I have asked. See, to give me versus to do. That one is an item and one is an action. If you want to do that, the king and Haman will come to the party that I will make for them. And tomorrow I'll do what the king asks. Now this, you understand, is wild. I mean, you're telling me that Esther sat at the party. Esther is sitting at the party and she's got everyone there, and Haman is sitting to her right and Achashverosh is to her left. And Achashverosh is like, "Okay, Esther, you got it. What do you want?" And she goes, "I want to have another party."
Sorry, I want to clarify. Is this a part? Because it's a party of three.
It's a party of three. That's how you party, man. Okay. That's how you party. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Now,
just me, Dan Marino, and Brady. We're just all hanging out in my dreams. We're just hanging out. Just a couple of guys playing dominoes.
But getting back to this thing about, we're going to go to power queue and you're back.
Yeah. The jealousy issue.
Right. But in the prior sentence or the paragraph when she mentioned it, he hurries Haman over. Now,
right.
Well, I mean, there's no.
All right. Ariel's asking if
Haman's going to be out of town, but let's have the party anyway.
So Ariel's asking if the king was so if he was so put off by the fact that Haman is being invited to this intimate party, then why did he say Maharu es Haman, hurry Haman up, right? I think the very simple answer is because you're crazy that you're suspecting your wife, right? You're crazy. Like, she just said that to you, so it's kind of like, wait a minute, why is he there? On the other hand, she said it to you, to your face. There can't be anything going on. There can't be, right? So you're kind of thinking that it is because it's been planted in the back of your head, but it's absurd. I mean, isn't it? Isn't it absurd? So listen to this. This is insane. So at the party, right? You understand? This is one of the most difficult pieces of the Megillah. You're at the party, and Esther says, "Come to another party." Why? It's like someone accidentally hit Control V and repasted the same paragraph for no reason. Doesn't have to be there. Not to mention the fact that the king's like, what's he thinking about? So listen to this. This is awesome. We'll do this quickly. So the Gemara says that because of the tznius, because of the tznius that Rachel had, she was zachta, she merited to have Shaul. the first king come from her, because Shaul came from Binyamin, which is, of course, from Rachel. And from the tzniut that Shaul had, he merited that Esther should come from him, because Esther descends from Shaul. So they all have tzniut. Okay, that's the Gemara says in Megilat. Now, what says the Gemara? What is the? I'll tell you the easy one first. What was the tzniut of Shaul? What was the great tzniut, the modesty of Shaul? It says that when Shmuel Hanavi, remember, Shaul is the first king of Israel. So for 400 years, the Jews don't have a king. And then Shmuel goes and coronates Shaul in a private ceremony as king. Shaul's now king. The prophet has told him he would be king. Shaul rides into town. He sees his uncle, who's this big muckety muck. And his uncle says, oh, I heard you saw the prophet. What did the prophet say? And Shaul's like, oh, yeah, he helped us with the donkeys. Shaul did not, he did not, he didn't tell him that he was made king. Yeah, it'll come out when it comes out. Why do I need to tell him right now? By the way, I'm the king. So that was the tremendous tznius of Shaul. Okay, what's the tznius of Rachel? The Gemara says, because when Yaakov rolled into town to get a wife, remember he's running away from his brother Esav in Parshas Toldos. So Vayetze, he runs into town in Padan Aram, and there's Rachel, and he sees her at the well. And Vayomer Yaakov l'Rachel, Vaysaper Yaakov l'Rachel, yeah, Vaysaper, I think Yaakov l'Rachel, ki achi aviyahu v'chi ben Rivkahu. And Yaakov tells Rachel that he is her father's brother, and he is the son of Rivka. And the Gemara's like, what are you talking about? He's not her father's brother. He's her father's sister's son. So the Gemara says, when he says, I'm your father's brother, what he meant is, Achivani baramaut. I'm your father's brother in trickery. Don't worry, your dad can't trick me. And Rachel says to him, oh, tisk, Mr. Yeshiva Bacher. If you think that you can hang with my dad, you're so wrong. My father's going to take you to the cleaners. And Yaakov's like, no, we got this. Because if I have you on the inside, you could tell me what he's planning. She goes, he's going to plan to switch me is what he's going to do. Yaakov goes, no problem. We're going to have secret signs. And then he can't switch you. And they make the signs. Now what happens? On the night of, it's marriage time. Lavan pulls the switcheroo. And how come it didn't work? It didn't work because Rachel gave the signs to her sister. Rachel gave the signs to her sister Leah. That is apparently the modesty, the tzniut of Rachel. I don't know what the heck that has to do with modesty. What does that have to do with modesty? I don't understand. The kindness, maybe.
She was the younger one.
Yes, she's the younger one, but it says in the tzniut that Rachel had, she was zocha to have Shaul. But where do you see modesty by Rachel in this action? It seems like kindness, not modesty. It's very difficult to understand. And then furthermore, I don't see a whole heck of a lot of modesty by Esther either necessarily. So the truth is, not to belabor, not to over dramatize it, the answer is that the word sanua does not mean modest. You've been lied to. Yeah, it doesn't mean modest. What does it mean? So the word sanua comes up twice in Tanakh. One is hatsnei alecha simelakecha, and the other one is bazadon uba kalon vilatznuim chochma, which means one is a pasuk in Mishlei. So the pasuk in Mishlei is in Proverbs is drawing a contrast between tsnuim and zadon. Bazadon uva kalon vilatznuim chachma or ve'etznuim chachma. Which means that the word tzniut is the opposite of the word zadon. And that is crazy. Because here's what that means. The word zadon means assertive. The word zadon is the opposite of shogeg. You could be shogeg or mezid. V'ha'ish asher ya'aseh bezadon lo tishmo ala kohen. Zidonim, ala shkagot v'ala zidonim. The word zadon is when a person sins on purpose advertently. That's what zadon means. The opposite of a sin bizadon is a sin bishogeg, a sin that's an accident. So the word zadon means planned and advertent. So hold on. If it means planned and advertent, then that means that tzniut means not assertive. Not assertive. The word sanua means unassertive. It means not to force an issue. That's what tznius means. You ready for this? Because it's about to get really cool. So buckle up. Rachel is informed that her father's going to pull a switch, and her sister Leah is going to be given to Yaakov, and she knows that she can blow the whole thing up. It's easy. She's already anticipated this. She's got the signs. All she has to do is play her cards. If she plays her cards, the wedding's exploded, and Yaakov doesn't get duped. But she doesn't do that. She lets it happen. She allows her sister to be brought into her marriage. That's what Rachel did. It's a tremendous act of tzniut. Massive. Because she did not assert her move. She could have, but she didn't. That's her tzniut. Shaul's tzniut is the same thing. He is the king, but no one knows, which means that all he has to do is say the word. And if he says the word, everybody fawns all over him and he gets whatever he wants because he's king. He doesn't assert. What does Esther do? You ready for this? This is unbelievable. And I think this is like the key. It's the key right here. So she's at the party with Achashverosh and Haman. And this is what they've been waiting for. She fasted for 3 days. Every single Jew fasted for 3 days. They're sitting on the most important question, the most important secret in the kingdom for 3 days. And they're at the party and it's time. And Esther's like, no, it's not the time. She doesn't see any opening. There's no opening here. There's nothing here. It's not the time. What's she going to do? It all came to this moment. Do you understand? She's going to force it. She has to pull the trigger. She's here. Everything built up to this moment. And she's sitting there and she's like, nope, not here. We're going to have another party tomorrow. Do you understand the chutzpah that took for her to say that to the king? Like, right, the suspense is killing everybody. And she's sitting there and she's like, just one more. Oh my gosh. Now you notice that one more makes all the difference, because by the time that they're sitting again the next day at the party, the entire position will have switched. The whole world will already have gone v'nahapachu, because Haman's going to be, smelling like duty. We're going to see it's like the whole thing is going to be flipped tomorrow. But right now, she took a pass. She stood with the ball. You know what it was? It's overtime in the Super Bowl, and you win the coin toss and you defer. That's what she did. She deferred the overtime reception.
But does that make her
Sanua?
But to me, that means you said not assertive.
It's not assertive. She didn't. It doesn't have to happen. When it's ready, I'll swing. When it's ready, I'll swing.
Me, I mean, again, I guess maybe it's perspective, but to me, that is. So you're going to the point.
Oh,
and you're going. You
right.
know what? I'm going.
No, it's not taking it if it's not there. It's throwing the ball away. You got to throw the ball in the stands. Don't force it.
Right.
She's not right. That's what she did. That's what she did. She threw it out of bounds. She says, I'm not going to force it. It's a mind-boggling move that she did. But she did it. You can imagine the shock. So she says to him, come tomorrow. And that's the modesty of Esther. She doesn't swing when she's up to bat with all the planning that went to it, doesn't take the swing, waits a day. So Haman and Haman leaves that day and he's so happy. He's having the best day of his life. And when he sees Mordechai in the gate of the king, below come, below zami menu, which is great. I love this pasuk. Below come, he doesn't get up. Below zami menu, he doesn't move. Do you understand what that means? Below zami menu. I'm not going to make the gesture because it's obscene, but you understand what I'm talking about, right? Like every time that Haman walked by Mordechai, it wasn't just that he wasn't getting up. I mean, he was literally much worse than ignoring him. He was essentially giving him the finger. He wouldn't move for him. He was making it stand out the fact that he thinks nothing of him. Below kam, below zami manu. He doesn't move. Vayimale Haman Mordechai chema, and Haman was filled with rage. The word chema means heat. Chama is the sun. Cham. He's filled with rage. Remember, he's having the best day of his life. There are 3 people in the party: Esther, Haman, and Achashverosh. Achashverosh is totally confused because he's pretty sure that his wife and his best friend have a secret from him. Esther is in terrible straits because she thinks all the Jews are going to be eradicated. Haman is like, this is the greatest day of my life. Those are 3 people at the party. So Haman leaves and he's like, I am so awesome. And there's Morty sitting by the car park over there when he gets into his limousine, and Mordechai didn't give him the time of day. And he's like, Vayisapak Haman. These words are so important. Vayisapak Haman. Haman kept it in. He held it in. Meaning Haman had incredible self-control. He hates Mordechai. He's the second most powerful man in the world, but he can't do anything. He's totally, what do you call it? He's powerless to do anything. So he doesn't show a shred of anger. And he comes to his house. Vayishlach, and he sends. Vayaveis Oavav ve'Zeresh ishto, and he brings in his loved ones and Zeresh, his wife. He called for them. Vayishlach means he sent for his wife and the people who love him. He's going to have a real family conference now. Vayisaper lahem Haman es kvod ashro v'rov banav. And Haman told him the kavod, the heaviness, the weight of his wealth, v'rov banav, and all his kids, all his sons, which you understand is ridiculous. You're going to tell your wife how many sons you have. Unless, of course, the answer is this was a surprise to her, you see. Yes, by definition. If you're telling your wife how many sons you have, what does that mean?
It's with some other women.
Yeah, it means she doesn't know how many sons you have. It means she only thought you had the 30 sons that she knew about. The Gemara says, oh yeah, but really it wasn't that he had 10 sons, he had 30 sons. Whereas it wasn't 30, it was 70. Whereas it wasn't 70, it was 200. Whereas it wasn't 200, it was 214. Right now, what does that mean? It means that Haman was a very energetic fellow. And if you think about it, he descends from Agag. Agag, if we recall, was the one who Esther's ancestor Shaul failed to kill. And we're told midrashically that Agag, that night that he wasn't killed, had conjugal visits with a bunch of women and impregnated all of them, thereby allowing more generations of the virus that is Amalek. So he's telling them now, he is now putting all the cards on the table and explaining to them, you thought that I was rich and powerful. You have no idea how rich, you have no idea how powerful. You have no idea what I'm going on, but here it is. And it's so interesting because we'll see in a moment. And all that the king had made him great. And that he had lifted him above the sarim and the servants of the king. So you see, it's two issues. Number one is Gidlo. He made him great. And number two is he lifted him above. What are those two levels? One is that he made him noble. Haman was of a very, very modest birth. We know that's another reason why he resents Mordechai, because Mordechai knows his story. Mordechai knows he comes from nothing. He was sold on the block. So he was, first of all, made noble. He gets his coat of arms. What do they call it? You get a peerage. I don't know what it is, but that's the basic idea. And then he was, not only was he in the House of Lords, but now he was elevated above all of the other sarim. Vayomer Haman, and Haman says, "Af lo hevia Esther makoim hamelech el mishte asher asasa ki imosi." Even Esther, the queen, didn't bring anyone with the king to her party except me. V'gam lemachar ani karula im hamelech, and also tomorrow I'm called there with the king. That's the last thing he said, because you understand that's much more intimate than all the other power. The fact that he's so chashuv that when Queen Elizabeth makes a birthday dinner for Prince Phil, she calls Haman to sit and be there with the family burgers. It's a different level. It's a different level of power and intimacy. So that's the last thing that he says. He continues. And none of this is worth anything to me, which the Gemara says, all this. What's all of this? Gemara says he had a piece of paper, a ledger with all his wealth in front of him. He could literally point to his assets, which back in the day was a more impressive feat than it is nowadays when you have everything on QuickBooks and TD Ameritrade. But back in the day, it means he had everything right in front of him. He had perfect control and understanding of all of the industries that he ran. Now, but all of this is worth nothing to me. At all the time that I see that Mordechai, the Jew, sitting in the gate of the king. Now, here's the thing. Yeah, so right. So the obvious truth is that Haman is a megalomaniac. And clearly he has massive psychological issues because he's letting this destroy his life. That is true. That is 100% true. That having been said, I'm going to tell you something that I think is equally true. And I hear where he's coming from. Haman, as we mentioned, is the Kohen Gadol. He is the mascot. He is the national symbol. He's the symbol for national unity. That's who Haman is. Everybody bows to him except Mordechai. By Mordechai not having to bow to him, he has reduced Haman to Mickey Mouse. You are the symbol, Mickey. Want a cracker? We're going to get you a really nice costume. We're going to give you a really beautiful castle. Everybody's going to go by there and wave to you. Everybody's going to take pictures with you. All little girls, you get to sign their autographs. But you know, you're not really powerful, right? Like, you're just an icon. You're a mascot. You know how I know you're just a mascot? Because that guy's not to bow to you. You're not powerful. This is how we're all going to do, because you're Mickey. You're not Walt. If you were Walt, we'd all be bowing to you. You're not real. So everything that I have is an illusion as long as Mordechai doesn't have to bow to me. All this isn't worth anything to me. It's nothing. I'm just a really rich guy in a nice suit.
A question, just more I guess a mundane, fundamental
A
question.
mundane question.
Yeah. What's with this Mordechai hanging by the gates? Like, does he not have an office?
That is his office. Mordechai hangs out in the Shar HaMelech all the time. Now he's hanging there because he can't come inside, remember? Right? He's dressed up in the sackcloth. He works in the palace.
So it's not a literal that he's hanging by the entrance.
Now he's hanging in the entrance because that's where he can go.
Before
before he's literally in the inner sanctum.
Passes by him and he doesn't bow.
Yeah, he's in the. It doesn't have to be by the gate specifically. He's inside the inner forbidden city of the king.
Right.
Mordechai can be there, right? So Mordechai's in those areas. He's an official. He works there. Originally, he was coming to see how Esther's doing, and now he's there because that's his job. So now he's hanging out literally by the gate because he can't cross the threshold. So, Vatomer lo zeresh ishto. This is again. This pasuk, the last pasuk in this parak. This pasuk is a very difficult pasuk to understand. Vatomer lo zeresh ishto v'chol hava. And Zeresh, his wife, and all those who love him say to him, Yasu eitz gavoach hamishim amah. Make a tree that's 50 cubits high. Uvaboker amor lamelech. And in the morning, tell the king, v'yislus Mordechai alav, and they'll hang Morty on it. And go with the king to the party, and you'll be happy. And Haman thinks it's a great idea, and he makes the tree. Can I ask you the stupidest question in the world? Haman, as we said, is the second most powerful human being on the planet Earth, and here are all his kids, and here's all his money, and it's how important he is. And he's like, but I don't know what to do with Mordechai. And she's like, oh, I got a good idea. Kill him. He's like, oh my God, I never thought of that. Like Haman never thought that maybe killing Mordechai would be a good idea. Like shoot the guy in the face that didn't come. But his genius wife, Zeresh, oh, maybe you should kill him. I never thought of that.
But it's a reversal from the beginning, though, right?
Why?
He said he couldn't kill him.
No, he said he didn't want to only kill him. He didn't. By Yivas Be'enov, it's a waste to only kill Mordechai. I want to kill all of them.
Well, I thought he did by wanting to kill him. He admits to everybody that he's bugging me.
Right.
Before he kill all the Jews, he's part of it, but
100% true.
Admission that he was getting under my
skin. Right. Now so what is he?
Admission that he's getting under my skin.
So why would he do it? Why would he admit? For whatever reason, he couldn't kill Mordechai before, and I agree. Right? He can't kill Mordechai because it looks terrible. It's a political scandal if he kills Mordechai because Mordechai is exercising his Persian natural right of religious beliefs. You can't kill Mordechai. You can't kill Mordechai. That's why Mordechai was able to not bow to him in the first place and didn't die. You can't kill Mordechai. And if all of a sudden she says, ask the king and kill him,
he's going to die anyway.
That's true, he's going to die anyway.
So why now?
Why now? And what did she come up with that he? So here's what I think is the Chiddush. Listen to the Chiddush and the brilliance of Zeresh. She doesn't say kill Mordechai. She says, Yasu eitz gavoach hamishim amah. Make a tree that's 50 cubits high. And in the morning, tell the king. Why in the morning? Why in the morning? Say, make a tree and kill him in the morning. There's different issues here. First issue is you can't kill Mordechai for not bowing down to you. Can't do that. Because then it's about you. You've usurped your office. You can't do that. So you can't hang him. You know what you can do though? What's the difference between somebody who is executed by the state and somebody who is strung up 50 cubits high by the state? What's the difference? Who are the people whose heads go on pikes outside the gate?
The ones who haven't been loyal.
Traitors. Exactly. Traitors. People have been disloyal. Threats to the government. Threats to the union.
Make an example.
Exactly. Says you can't kill Mordechai the individual. Don't. Kill Mordechai the traitor. Kill Mordechai the seditious underminer. Make a spectacle of it. If you do that, it's a mitzvah that you're killing Mordechai. So first, make the biggest gallows in the world to show that you're doing this for the country. This is important. Everyone should see. It's not enough that Mordechai dies because he annoyed me. Everyone should see Mordechai die. He's terrible for the country. He undermines the unity of all of us. Just tell him in the morning. Why tell him in the morning? Same reason that Haman rushed out all the letters. Is if you show up at 10:30, and it's on the docket whether or not you're going to kill Mordecai. You'll never get a shot to kill Mordecai. Mordecai's got friends. Mordecai has friends who are judges. Half the judges are Jewish. You'll never be able to kill him. Go to the king at 8:30 in the morning. This is what all the cops know how to do. All the cops, right? What do they want to do? They want to throw you in the clink. They don't want you to get bail. They show up. The bail office closes at 8 p.m. on Thursday, and they arrest you at 8:05. And there ain't a judge in the town until Tuesday morning. And they know that because it's President's Day. So they throw you in the clink on Thursday night. You think they served you on 8:05 by mistake? So she says, be there in the morning at 7:30 in the morning when the judge is there with her toast and her jam. And then get the death certificate for Mordecai and hang him before the bailiff shows up. It's a genius idea that Zeresh comes up with. Haman's like, that's great. And he makes the tree. Because again, remember, it was all about the tree. The point is the tree. Now, I think I forgot to point out earlier that there's a difference between the way that Esther invites Haman and Achashverosh to the first Seudah and the second one, because she ratchets up the pressure. The first one, she says, Haman and the king should come to the party that I made him, in the singular, him. The party's for the king. The second time, she says, El mishteh asher e'aseh lahem, a party that I'm making for them, both of them. She keeps click, 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 click on Achashverosh, and Achashverosh is going out of his mind. You know how I know Achashverosh is going out of his mind? Because he can't sleep. That's the next words in the Megillah. Achi no sleepy. Why Achi no sleepy? Because he's pretty sure his best friend's got designs on his lady. Something's going on and he can't sleep. Which of course you understand, now you recognize that when she does swing at the ball will be right over the plate, because 24 hours later, it's a very different party for both Haman and Achashverosh. And that is the tznius of Esther, which comes from the tznius of Shaul, which comes from the tznius of Rachel. And I think that that's pretty awesome. And in Mirta Hashem, we will see each other on Thursday night at 8 p.m. We're going to do chapters Vav and Zion. Yeah, let's take a few moments. Whoa. Yeah, let's take a few moments of housekeeping. Here's what I plan to do. I think we're going to do possibly as much as a 90-minute class. I think it'll probably take 90 minutes on Thursday, and do chapters Vav and Zion. And then early next week, maybe again on Tuesday, we'll do Ches and Tes, or maybe Ches and half a Tes, because Tes is really, really long. And then we'll finish up with Yud. We'll finish up with Yud and have one more session.
Wednesday?
Yeah, maybe on Wednesday. We'll do Tuesday and Wednesday, or maybe we'll do all of them. But yeah, it's going to be great. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you on Thursday at 8 p.m. Same time, same place, same channel. Peace and love.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.